I'm a little bit of a perfectionist at times. Fix your face.
We're all family. In the club, we all fam. Welcome to C-Suite Ballers, hosted by yours truly, Chiney Ogwumike. This is Uninterrupted's new series where we sit down with some of the most powerful and influential women in the world of sports. We're gonna dive into the unique journeys of our guests and how they got to where they are today. You guys know we are gonna talk about it all, from the courts to the C-suite. Joining me today, Oakland's very own Sports Emmy winner, one of the best reporters in the entire world, and an absolute trailblazer when it comes to media, and an even better person, but I'm not finished. A lover of sports.
That's true.
A lover of horses.
That's extra true.
Charlie's mom.
Also
a
true.
Horse. A phenomenal high heel wearer. My partner in crime on ESPN, my very, very close friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Malika Andrews! So Malika, we all know you grew up in the Bay. You like to say it on TV all the time, Yay area. What was it like as a kid growing up and loving sports?
You know this, we both have sisters. Kendra and I played every sport we possibly could because my dad was a personal trainer. And it didn't matter what it was, you just had to go out and you had to go play. And it was like you go play outside until it got dark. I don't even know if kids do that in the same way
Not really.
anymore. But it was basketball, it was soccer, it was horseback riding. Kendra was a dancer. It was a communication for my family, right? It was what we did to pass time. It's what we did to stay fit. It's what we did as a commonality. And at the dinner table, when we ran out talking about our day, it would turn to our fandom, particularly of the Golden State Warriors. And when I was a really little kid, I remember, you know, we only had one TV. It's not like you had like an iPad or could go watch on your device your own little thing or go up and look at YouTube clips. We all had to agree on one thing to watch. And oftentimes the thing we could all agree on wanting to watch was a basketball game. And so getting to stay up late to watch basketball games was a bonding point for me and my family. And then it kind of became synonymous with Oakland, particularly now with teams leaving Oakland. To have that to kind of hold on to as sort of the heartbeat of my childhood is something that is really special to me.
And at what point did you realize that your love for sports could be a career?
Not until way later. For me, it was writing. I loved to write, and it was something that I was good at, particularly when I was sort of struggling through math or struggling through these other subjects in school. Writing was kind of a safe haven. That was always creative writing. I never saw that really intersecting with sports until I got to college. Long, winding story. I went to boarding school. I didn't have confidence that I was good at many things, but I had confidence that I was a good writer. It's something I felt like myself doing, and I'm a little bit of an overthinker at times. Fix your face. I know this about myself. And when you're writing, you can go back over every sentence and craft it and perfect it and make sure it's exactly how you want to present yourself to the world. And I really liked that. I liked that there was a safety in that for me, that I can make sure exactly what I wanted to communicate was written down. And so when I got to college and I applied to work at the school newspaper, they said the only opening they had was in sports. And I thought to myself, I think I can blend these two things. I think that there's a real opportunity there. And the more I started looking for mentors, the fewer I realized, particularly in writing, there were women who looked like you and me. And so going into that field, I really wanted to make sure that that was something that I wanted to do, that I could be that for somebody else. That came way later, but I think it was sort of all meshed up in that sophomore year of college.
And one of our titans of industry who just retired, Adrian Wojnarowski, don't you have a connection to a piece you wrote to sort of why you are where you are today?
Yeah, I do. So when I was at the University of Portland, where I went to school, I wrote a profile on Terry Porter, the Portland Trailblazers great, who became the head coach of the Portland Pilots. And that profile ran on the front page of our little newspaper, circulation 800, not 1,000, just 800. And ran on the front page, and Woj came to campus, I think at some point that week, and he picked up a copy of the school newspaper. And he put it in his bag, and I guess he didn't think it was terrible because I went to the Nike Hoop Summit a couple of weeks later, and I walked up to introduce myself to him. And he said, oh, I know you. And I was like,
what? How?
He did? My voice rising 5 octaves. And he said, yeah, you wrote this piece, didn't you? And I girl. I was floored.
You were like, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, because it was kind of one of those reminders of no matter where you're at or what your platform is, particularly now, good work will always end up in the right people's hands.
Yeah.
And it was sort of a reminder of that. And he's been sort of an angel over my career the rest of my sports journalism days.
I feel like every woman in sports has a story of, you won't believe what I did to make it to where I was.
100%.
For me, I was at the Pac-12 women's tournament thinking I was about just hired into the industry.
Yeah.
And I thought I was gonna do like calling games or interviewing players. They had me go and basically be a mascot and interview the mascots.
Did you wear a head?
Girl, no, I didn't wear a head.
Okay.
But at first, it was a moment where I said, am I too cool for school? Like, or am I going to figure out, say yes, like in the words of Shonda Rhimes, the year of yes, and see where it goes. And so I went on that train, girl, and I interviewed the mascots, which, by the way, I didn't think about it because they don't talk. But I just vibed on the train. If there's one person that could do it, it'd probably...
If anybody could do that.
Thank goodness the cheerleaders were there, because I actually turned to them and was like, okay, are you excited about your team?
Yep.
Is there a story like that for you?
I've never interviewed mascots. There was a producer that one time asked me to do an interview with myself. I didn't do that. Which, but I covered underwater hockey.
Wait. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's a story about it somewhere. I wrote it for the Denver Post, underwater hockey. And I remember thinking...
I'm sure that's a hell of a story. It's a
You know what?
front pager. That's a hell of a story.
I don't know about all
Maybe
that.
that's all
But nowadays, like how many people come up to you because they know your work now?
Yes.
They know your work on a huge platform. They know your work at ESPN. For someone to take time out of their day to come over to me, to us, to share their fandom, like that to me will never get old and is so special. That someone felt like they wanted to take some time out of their day to say, hey, we have this common thing that we both love and I get to watch you do it and I appreciate it, is something that is just so cool and so gratifying. And I've gotten both ends of it. I've gotten that, aren't you Malika Andrews? I love you. Aren't you Malika Andrews? I did not like that take that you just said. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have this conversation with me, because that's just like, what a privilege that is.
It is. And we've shown that they care. And it's always way more good than the bad. That's what we try to say.
100%.
All right, Malika, your rise, especially in the NBA space, needs to be studied. You are the definition of getting opportunities and knocking them out of the park. The first one I think everyone takes of note.
The bubble.
The bubble.
Yeah.
The bubble. How did that come about?
It was 2020. I was living in New York City. I was a writer at the time. I was a beat writer covering Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Ben Simmons in the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie Irving, of course. And I'd done some TV fairly well. I had relationships with stars because I'd covered Kyrie, Kevin, Giannis, people like that. And so our editor called and was like, hey, we want to send somebody down to the NBA bubble, and we're looking for someone who's a hybrid, right? Who can do all of those different things. Because I think more and more in this industry, being a Swiss Army knife that has a specialty is incredibly valuable. And so they asked me if I would go down to this bubble that had been constructed. But I called my mom, and I said to my mom, I said, I'm a little nervous. And she said, I know you are, but why are you calling me? You and I both know that you're going to go do this because you run towards these sorts of things. Like you run toward history chronicling and moments and being a fly on the wall for something we're going to remember that could shape our country, our history, our culture, and basketball.
That's what it was.
100%. And so I said, Mom, all right. There was only 10 reporters in the bubble, only 4 of us, 2 reporters, 2 producers that were there as long as I was. Shout out Chris Haynes. And I got to do every job. I was on TV all the time, getting reps that I didn't have before. I was also writing. I was also doing features. And so it was kind of flexing all of these different muscles for the first time, with people believing in me more than I believed in myself. I did not know that I could be a game reporter or these sorts of things. But there were so many people along the way saying, no, we think that you can do this. With reporting as your backbone, you can do this. And so I said, all right, bet, let's try.
Mic drop, game change.
And that was
but you said something that was extremely striking. People believing in me more than I believe in myself.
100%.
Next comes NBA Today, hosting.
Crazy.
How do you feel like you've evolved in the role you're in currently as the host of NBA Today and NBA Countdown?
I've never hosted a show before I hosted NBA Today.
People don't know that.
It was so daunting because I think I was afraid to be myself in some ways. It's really hard to be learning yourself at the same time that the world is learning you.
Yeah.
Because you trip and you fall and you need to get back up, but everyone's watching and pointing and staring. And that's how it felt when we first started the show. And what's been really cool is now I think when we all walk on the NBA Today set, there's no airs of this is what I'm trying to be. It's just, this is who we are.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing is like, this is basketball and this is breakdowns and this is this shared language that we all use to relate to each other because basketball is a global language that you don't need to speak English or Spanish or Slovenian to understand. And so to be able to get to be that home for everybody is a really cool thing.
When we started showing up in studio as a family, a work family, you, me, Richard Pert.
Those boys.
Those guys. I think people didn't know us, so they projected what they assumed women in our roles should be. And it always reminds me that we're not a monolith. You and I might have some of the same check marks in the boxes. We're Black women that love sports.
Yep.
But as time has evolved, people have gotten to know who we are. We know that you're nerdy, a book lover, a horse lover, and me, I'm a TV lover, and I'm a cornball at times. You know, we both had, probably still do have imposter syndrome. One thing I will say is that I believe we get our confidence from each other. And I think that's something that falls through the cracks. People think sometimes you have to get that confidence within. When you have a family, you can steal it from one another.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that is rare about our show, that I love about our show, is our highest ranking producer is a woman. The lead analyst on our show is a woman. The host of our show is a woman. That is something that is really rare, I think, even now within the sports media landscape, and it's something that shapes the backbone of our show. It should never be on us to fix a larger system that's in place.
But we're going to try.
We're going to try.
We're going to try.
We are going to try. We are going to try.
I want to, because we talked about many firsts.
Yeah.
You were in the bubble, hosting NBA Today.
Yeah.
First woman to host the NBA draft.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the suit, girl. Like, we always rank each other's outfits. Number one, the white suit, which was a subtle statement.
Yes, it was.
As a nod to women.
Yep.
It was
the 50-year anniversary of Title IX
that
day.
Exactly. What was that like?
To live in a history that has stood for 80 years, right? The draft has been televised for about 80 years, and there's never been a woman to host it. It's really hard to put into full perspective. But I really tried on that day not to be crippled by the thought of I have to do this and I have to do it well, because if I fail, it won't be because I made a mistake or I read a number wrong or because I just mispronounced somebody's name. It'll be because I am a woman and a Black woman and we collectively are not worthy. And so I was really trying to put that thought out of my mind all day long. Like, I tried to take a nap, I couldn't take a nap.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
the worst.
you know,
that
all
was me
these,
pre-games.
Yeah, these graphics and stories and first woman to do this and that. And I took so much pride in that, and I had so much hope in wanting to be the person that some little girl looks at and says, because she did, I can. But I was nervous. And then my very first hit of our show was me in the middle, and it was Monica McNutt to my right, and it was you on my left. And that's when I knew that just because I was the name that would be in the history books as the first, I didn't do it alone. I certainly didn't get there alone. I stood on the shoulders of all the women that came before me, but literally in that moment, we were doing this. We were pushing this forward. And we crushed that draft.
Yeah.
Like we crushed that draft. And there were little things here and little things there, but I remember walking up. Do you know how hard it is to walk off the stage after 5 hours and think you crushed something?
Yeah, you
like
unfold.
We did that. And it's my favorite assignment of the year. To be able to cover these young men's dreams is one of my favorite things that we get to do. But truly, that was one of those moments where I know that women in this industry, I know we belong, and I know that we belong because of the work we do for each other to make it so that in 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, we're not going to be having this conversation. Remember when we were the first to do something? It's look at all of these women that are the best at what they do, and that's it. And that's why we're here.
And we're getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
You suffer, unfortunately, from people judging you. And I tell this to a lot of people. They see you before they hear you. They judge you before they know you. But they still can't stop you. And that's you, Malika. Like, that's what it's like to sit in the desk, to be a Black woman. Don't cry. Don't get emotional. Okay, good. You're fine. The fact that you've been courageous enough to, like, stand in it and show people who you are for your work ethic, and what you believe in, like, journalism, news, integrity, like, that's all you.
It's scary to open yourself up to other people, but it's what we ask players to do every single day. And so I decided to do that as well.
Because we have to do high performance jobs where mistakes are criticized. I know what it's like. As a basketball player, you miss a shot, everyone sees it. As an analyst, you forget something, you can learn how to deal with it, but still it's criticized. What is a way that you settle your nerves? For me, I say a couple prayers before I go on air, and then I'm like, God's got me. What about you?
I take a deep breath and I say, no one is more prepared than you are for this. And that's it. Preparation, I truly believe, is the only salve that I have to nerves, because being worried or nervous about something is a feeling. Being prepared is a fact. And I am always going to go back to the facts.
Period. All right, so now we're gonna get into the section of the show we're calling Show That Glow, sponsored by Shea Moisture. This segment is a little more interactive as we're highlighting the brand's revamped body wash collection that keeps your skin healthy and hydrated. In this business, you know we're always busy and on the move, and each of these washes provide the all-day hydration that we need to bring out that glow within us all. So Malika, we'll have you pick one, and then I'll ask you a question based on the one you selected.
Okay. The coconut hibiscus.
Oh, coconut and hibiscus, great selection.
I like the way you say hibiscus.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have a twang to everything.
Do you guys know how she says like the chicken, like rotisserie
I say
chicken?
it's rotisserie.
It's not rotisserie.
It's rotisserie. I grew up in Texas. I was like, yo, I mean rotisserie chicken.
I said, what?
I said it's a Texas thing, then I realized it's
it is not a Texas thing.
Yeah, I realized it might have been like an African thing.
You know what?
Okay, cool. Coconut hibiscus. This is what you need to boost that natural glow and radiance we've all got. You've got that natural glow, girl. You glowing. So when you're feeling yourself and looking your absolute best, where do you most like to be?
At the barn.
Oh, at the barn.
Yeah, that's the place I feel myself the most.
Talk to us about Charlie.
My horse, not my son.
I think I said
yes, who is a mom to Charlie, who's a horse.
I'm aunt to Charlie.
And yes, I've been riding since I was a little kid. There is no place, you talked about imposter syndrome, it evaporates there. That's when I get my sort of superwoman cloak of, I know how to do this. I've done this for a long time, and it's sort of like a superpower that I have. I'm rarely angry at the barn. I'm rarely upset at the barn. It's like this immediate balm that just makes me happy. And I have become a happier person since I started riding again. I told myself this story for years. I didn't have time for a hobby because this work is all consuming, and it demands that you meet players at the level that they play at with your game. But I squeeze in, you know, an hour here, 2 hours there, and I have become a happier, more centered, more willing, dare I say more Chiney-like person since horses came back into my life.
Look, you guys, some of my favorite things is when we're done with our show and we're all high on adrenaline. And I see my good sis in some riding pants.
They're tights, let's be really honest.
Okay. Those are some riding tights. She's like, I've got to go. I have a date with Charlie. And I'm like, that's so cute. And honestly, it's inspired me because I was like, I need a decompressor. I need something like that.
You watch movies and you watch them like, here's the AFI 100 list. I'm going to watch them all. Here are all the Oscar movies. I'm going to watch them all. Listen to podcasts in between. Makes like quizzes and what's your personality type. She is in on the movie show watching.
But it has inspired me to find another hobby because TV is a lot.
It's a lot, and I also think that everyone deserves something that takes them into an alternate reality for a little bit.
See, it's like that with me for hot yoga, but that's more my exercise.
I still have to
my
do
good
that
sis
with
also
you.
likes to do trampoline work too. So
I do, because it's fun.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Where do you glow most? I feel like you answer that. The barn?
I don't glow the most in a place. I glow the most with people. With Dave, with my sister, with my work family, with my parents. I think that's where I glow the most.
All right, it's time to head into the post game. So Malika, a couple rapid fire questions.
All right, I'm ready.
Some of them are deep, okay?
Okay.
I know personally what it's like to have your sister alongside you on your career journey. How great has it been to see Kendra also carve out her space?
It's been amazing. Seeing Kendra succeed on TV is more gratifying than seeing or feeling myself do well. It is the best thing in the world. I still take a picture every single time I see her on TV, and I'm like, oh, Kendra, look, there's you. My mother would say she's her biggest fan, but I think I'm a close second.
Oh, but your mom's like, she's busy.
She's in there.
She's busy.
Sliding into your DMs, my DMs.
Love Miss Karen. Love Miss Karen.
She would say Karen with a C.
Karen, yes, Karen with a C. Karen, super classy. Classy Karen with a C. Seeing a lot more women than before today in C-suite positions.
Amen.
What does that mean to you?
Everything. I used to get direct messages from dads, a lot of dads saying, hey, this is my daughter, and she would have this big curly hair, and she saw you, or she wasn't sure what to do with her curls, or she wasn't sure if she was having a bad day and didn't see herself. And so to have more women for those little girls, I think is really important. And also to have more women, because the best work comes out of the most diverse workspaces, and to hear other people's thoughts and to have a diversity of voices, I think actually yields the best product. So it's not just a feel-good story, it's smart business.
What more do we need to do to create opportunities?
I think we need to get rid of this fallacy that there can only be one, shed the myth of work-life balance, and allow women to be able to say, okay, today I'm 100% in on my work, tomorrow I'm 100% in on my family, today I'm 50-50 doing both. Because I think the longer we push this narrative of, well, make sure that you balance it all and it can only be one or the other, is the longer we're working to tell women a story that is unattainable, and that makes us feel like we fail.
Yeah, put us in a box. Completely agree. You just posted that you are in your 30s. Welcome to the third floor. Congratulations. So what is the best lesson you've learned from your 20s?
Ooh, that's a good question. The best lesson I have learned from my 20s is be yourself, because everybody else is taken. That was a tough lesson, a hard lesson. I love the things that I've seen in other people that I have been able to try on and play with and adopt and adapt. But be you, boo-boo, because...
Now you sound like me.
Yeah, I know. The best version of you is much better than your impersonation of anybody else.
What are you looking forward to the most in this next decade?
Right now, I kind of just want to do what I am doing at the highest level. And that maybe sounds like lame.
No.
But I don't think women are afforded that opportunity very often. I think so often it's sort of like, what's next? Who's younger? How do we replace? How do we upgrade? To see a woman age on television is a really rare thing.
It's a gift.
And both of us started in TV in our 20s.
Yes.
And so to just be able to continue to exist and to push and improve and hopefully one day have the opportunity to welcome in whoever's coming next behind us, like that would be really cool. But I don't know, I've really never been happier than I am right now. And I hope that it's emanating a little bit. Because it's like, it's a very centered, cool feeling to just wake up and say, I'm me. This is the best I got. Let's do this.
As someone who has watched your growth, you are. Every day, the woman you're becoming is exactly what you hope.
Okay, Michelle Obama
becoming. Great one. Last question. So we know the statistics when it comes to women in C-suites. They typically all play sports. Why do you think that's the case?
Because there's no better learning environment for what it is to be a good teammate, what it is to be a competitor, what it is to pick yourself back up when you fall. Like, I think that learning those skills in sports is something that translates to every boardroom, to every executive suite. And there's a toughness and a competitiveness and appreciation for your competition, I think, that all kind of exists within sports. And all of those are sort of metaphors for the things that you need to succeed at the highest level. Yeah. So many of my superheroes played sports.
Yeah, you learn how to deal with adversity, but you also don't rely on success. You're still motivated past that. It's that delicate balance. All right, friends. Host of NBA Today, NBA Countdown, Emmy winner, and my bestie on my left. Every day in studio.
I was literally like, oh yeah, left.
Yeah, camera left.
Always camera left.
Camera left. Malika Andrews, y'all.
Love you.
Love you more. Okay, Okay, guys, we have one rule. If someone gets traded, we get our phones back. All right. Thank you.